We've been looking this week at chapters 58 and 59, which are the conclusion of the first portion of the section, which I call section B, which is dealing with the sinfulness of the people of Israel. And in chapters 58 and 59, we begin with a concrete example of the situation. The people are saying, look, we've been doing all this religious stuff. We've been fasting, and you haven't blessed us. Why not? Here is the whole issue, again, of sin. As I said last week, sins are actions which are contrary to God's plan for human life. But sin is self-interest. I will have my way. And that's what's going on here. Why are they fasting? Are they fasting in order to be closer to God? Are they fasting in order to be more sensitive to the needs of people around them? No. They're fasting because they think that earns them merit with God. And God says, I don't care whether you stop eating or not. What I'd like to see you doing is stop oppressing your workers. I'd like to see you stop engaging in behavior which is contrary to my behavior. Now, what's the problem here? The problem with self-interest is it makes me God, and that's wrong. I am not God. You are not God. He is God, and we are made to be His servants. Paul likes to use the word slaves, but the interesting contradiction there is we go down on our faces before our God in order that He might raise us up and seat us with Him, as Paul says in the book of Ephesians, in the heavenly places. You fall to rise. But when I insist on being God in my world, then I make my world meaningless. Because if we are the climax of everything in the cosmos, then the cosmos is meaningless. So this is the tragedy of self-interest. This is what has, in fact, brought the Israelite people into this crisis in which they are living. But it's fascinating that in the latter part of chapter 58, he says, I wish you would start keeping the Sabbath carefully. Wait a minute. They're fasting very carefully, and God says, I wish you'd quit that. But now, aren't they both just religious behavior? Isn't the Sabbath and fasting, aren't they the same thing? I think not, and I'd like you to think about this. Sabbath keeping, stopping my work, and focusing on God is a way of saying, I'm sacrificing my self-interests. It's more difficult to make Sabbath keeping just a piece of legalese, Isaiah seems to be saying. And I think that's interesting in our own climate today as Sabbath keeping is disappearing from among us. So he's saying, yes, religious behavior is of value as long as it's not an end in itself. Religious behavior as a symbol of the true condition of your soul is a good thing. Going to church is a good thing unless going to church is an end in itself. I'm a righteous man because I go to church. No. I'm a good man because I fast. No. I'm a good man because I don't work on Sunday. No. The question is my living focused on me, or is my living and the religious expression of my living leading me out of myself to God, out of my issues, out of my conditions, out of my wants, out of my desires, into the conditions and the wants and the desires of God? That's the real issue. And because their lives are focused on self-interest, then you have that strong language of chapter 59. Certainly some of the grimmest words in the Bible in describing the human condition. We don't produce righteousness. We don't produce justice. We don't produce goodness. We, in fact, are producing the very opposite. And again, I say to you, that's the fruit of self-interest. You get in my way, and I'm going to push you out of my way, because my way is more important than yours. You get stuff that I deserve, I'm going to beat you up, because that's my stuff. That's what I deserve. You don't deserve that. Self-interest always takes us in that direction.